Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whatever time you will be looking at this video. So I am Michelle C. and Augustine. Now, some people know me by multiple titles. To me, it don't matter what titles because I see myself as a human being that's trying to help other human beings. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to tell the story. I wanted to tell it another way, but since I was feeling like this in my spirit that I should tell it this way, I'm going to tell it as how I went from a failure to a success. This is not the first time I'm telling the story, so some of you are already familiar, but today I'm going to focus on it specifically with the subject that is known as CSEC Mathematics. So some persons who know about my academic success may think that Michelle has always been successful. She doesn't know what it is to fail. Then you're wrong. So, a little bit, let's say about 18 years, almost 20 years ago, while I was in primary school, I was the type of student, like some of you, who didn't like to learning was boring, I like to play. So, not to say I never used to read and stuff, yes, I read, but I read like storybooks, not necessarily revise my schoolwork, and as a result, it reflected in my grades. So, as far as I can remember, in my lower forms, not form standards in primary school, I was failing not just one subject, but I was getting an F overall, right? And when I was in standard three, my teacher at the time, his name is Mr. Mahabir, he said to me on my final term in standard three, he said, Michelle, if you don't, in other words, get a better overall grade, or in other words, if you fail again, your end of term, you will have to repeat standard three. And that was like, no, I was dreaded. I was like, no, I don't need this stuff. So I told my grandmother, those of you who know me already, my grandmother, well, she's deceased now, but she was a pastor, a woman that feared God, had a very close relationship with God through Jesus and stuff. So I told her about it. Now, I grew up in an extended family woman. She was one of the right? But before all of this, I had some family members because every single time I used to fail, get an F overall, and they used to laugh and mock. They always would ask one of my aunties who used to stay with us as well when she go across there. They will ask her, what did Misha get a test when they hear I got an F? They will all laugh and stuff. Now, after I told my grandmother, when my teacher told me that I would have to repeat standard three if I fail again, um, my grandmother, I think she decided to take it to God, to God and pray in a special way. Because I know she was always praying first, but me personally, in a special way. And guess what? God answered her prayers. So my attitude and behavior towards would change, and I started to take my work a little bit more serious. And she also would have hired one of her sons to teach both my sister and I after that whole praying and stuff thing occurred, to teach us mathematics because he taught math. That's why you might say, why she paid him? That's her son, right? But at the end of the day, she understood that that was one of his main source of making us income to live. Therefore, she's not going to take advantage of him, even though he's her son, right? So she was a very generous person. Now, fast forward a little bit, at the end of that term, that my teacher warned me about after God heard my grandmother's prayer, and I changed my attitude towards it and started studying a little bit more. And I was also attending mathematics lessons. I went from an F, which was the previous term, to an overall D. Now they had ceremonies and stuff, and I got most improved students. And as the years go by, when I went into standard four and then into standard five, my overall grade would have then eventually reached to a C. I think I would have gotten a B. I was looking for my report, but I don't have it. I don't think I have it. I thought my mother has it. I was checking by her, but I didn't find it. And when I graduated, I would have got my second choice. It was no prestige school because my mother was really concerned that the choices that she had for me was schools around the area. So in case of an emergency, she could rush to me. So my second choice happened to be Cambridge East Secondary. It's just a general secondary school, and I was happy that I passed through that school. I did pass my first choice because my first choice was medical ministry. I didn't want to go there at all. So everyone, but she's a Christian, you believe in God. I say, why you don't go there? Let's not go there. We don't have time for that. But I did not want to go there at all. So I attended Camp Jama East, and I would like to believe from my recollection, my mathematics grade when I used to be failing until I graduated from primary school would have been around the 40s, 50s. So I was like a borderline student, sometimes failing the math itself, sometimes completely passing the little thing. And then, well, by the time I would have wrote SC, I got about 70 something in my maths. I wish I could find that. Whenever I can find this, I can give you all this exact stuff, right? So, that was the improvement with the help of my uncle, and of course God helped me to take my work serious and get serious about my work after my grandmother's prayer. Now fast forward into high school. By the time I reached Form 2, my mathematics grade would have been 98, 99, 100. It was always around 98 to 100. Now, I could have written CSEC examination because my uncle would have ensured that he covered things that I would have been doing in Form 4 and 5. So I was already prepared, but I had fear, and fear kept me back. Fear is a dangerous thing. And fear held me back from writing the CSEC math before my time. So if a student is suffering with fear, you have a child that is suffering with fear, and you want them to write an exam before, it's not going to push them, because if you do, they may not perform well just because of that thing called fear. So I as I continuously continue my studies along the high school journey, I was usually getting 100, 100, 199, 89, 100. And that was my grade from Form 2 straight up until Form 5. Then, what happened was, when I graduated from high school in 2011 from Form 5, and that would have been after I wrote CSEC Maths and other subjects, I was not in my graduation, but when I would have revisited the school, because then I went on to do A levels. Well, I knew when I got my grade, I had one of my best friends check my grade online. That was in 2011. And she checked my grade and she told me, Misha, you passed all your subjects. You got a distinction in mathematics. You see me, I ran balling and screaming out kind of thing. The thing is, I'll show you all a picture as well. I was awarded 2 plaques. One was for passing all 5 subjects and awarded with excellence, and the second one was a plaque for being the top student in my school that year that got the highest CSEC grade in math. So in other words, I got a plaque for being the student out of all the students in Cambridge East that wrote mathematics exam in 2011, May, June. I got the highest grade overall in the school based on the CSEC results. And I did get a distinction, which is a 1 with all improvements. I will upload some photos so you all will see, right? Um, yeah, so practically, of course, all the glory to God through Jesus Christ, because if my grandmother didn't pray for me, I would have still probably had that attitude of not wanting to study. I want to play a lot. Apart from that, I would not have been able to get a distinction in maths if it was not for my uncle as well, because that man is a genius. Now, and let me tell you how genius he is. both my sister and I were in the same math class with him, even though she was two forms lower than I. So we were in lessons most of the time together. And I wrote maths in 2011, she wrote maths in 2013, and we got distinctions. You think that's a coincidence? No, the majority of persons I went to school with failed maths or got a 3 because the school system, public school system, they don't usually finish the syllabus, and on top of that, maths is practically one of the most dreaded subjects, right? So persons who um think that their teachers are covering everything are practically deceived that they are not, and they will not tell you unless they are very honest. And then you go into the exam thinking that you are fine, and then you don't pass, right? But what I'm saying is not a coincidence because I did two subjects with the same uncle of mine. It was maths was one, but as I said today, my main emphasis is on math, right? Because I'm trying to encourage these math students that if I went from an overall failure and I was also at some point failing and barely passing maths, to a person who got a distinction and got a plaque for being the top student in math, CSEC Maths in my school in that year, you all can do the same. Now, some of you all are still in school, some of you all are repeaters. And this is my mindset. If it is you wrote maths already and you failed, or you got a low grade, a low pass grade, and you want a higher grade, you need to develop the mindset of I'm gonna write this stuff, I'm gonna do it once, I'm gonna give it my best, I'm not gonna waste time so I don't have to see the subject again. Yes, I may do an advanced level in the future, but I want a grade that I will be satisfied with. In one of my upcoming videos, I will discuss stuff about what you should aim towards when you are studying and etc. But going back to what I'm saying, being in lessons with my uncle was not a coincidence that both my sister and I got a distinction in maths. Plus, I also did principles of accounts with him. I got a distinction that same year. So he knew not just how to teach, but he had technique, and those are some of the techniques I use. He even told me, because he know I have classes and stuff, he told me, said, Michelle, I don't have a problem if you take some of my techniques. So I did take some of his techniques, and I also add my own techniques and some of the ideas that God has been giving me to ensure that students get distinctions. Now, I know that every student wants to get a distinction, but even if you don't want to get a distinction, at least aim for a 1 or 2 for the least. Do not aim for 3. As I said, I will talk about that another time. Students who are in my classes know I talk about that a lot. But this is just what I wanted to share with you all. If I could do it, you could do it. And it's important for me to tell you all this story so you all would say, oh, because you all hear me a lot, especially students in my class who are not even in my class and don't really know me as much as the students who are in my class. I was pushing you all to get a distinction. But then how will you feel if I'm pushing you to get a distinction and I myself did get one? I mean, some people will not feel too good about that. But at the end of the day, I have one. I know what it takes to get one. And I'm doing everything necessary to help you all get that. Now, both of us have to also be on the same page in terms of our belief system. But again, I'm going to end this video right here. And I hope that this encourages somebody. You all don't forget to like, because this will also be on my YouTube channel, be on some Students Academy. Don't forget to subscribe, and also don't miss any of my upcoming videos and share so somebody else can be encouraged like you. It's not good to just keep things to yourself. Just like how I'm sharing information to encourage people, at least share to one person. Okay, so you all be blessed, and I'll see you all again in one of my next upcoming videos. Bye.